And welcome back, and we are now at part 2 of what is now last week's New Comics, bitches! Um, New Avengers number 18. This is a book that I'm getting back into, partly because we have Mike Deodato doing the art on it, and because, I dropped the main Avengers one. I was just kind of sticking with Secret Avengers for a while. But this one has caught my attention more lately because, having, the .1 issue that they just did about, with, that was basically the turning point, with, having, like, the beginnings of, with, Norman Osborn being broken out of prison. And, they seemed to kind of have that under control, but then, of course, it all went to hell. And, of course, Neil Adams was, he was a guest artist on that issue. And so that made it, even more potent. I didn't review that one I meant to. That was like 5 out of 5. I loved that issue. This one is basically, it's the beginning of the new Dark Avengers. And so one of the things, though, that I don't understand is how the hell did Norman Osborn become such a ladies' man? First we have him, bedding Gwen Stacy back when Straczynski was writing Spider-Man and making it all horrible and terrible and awful. And I don't care what anybody says about that run. It's terrible. It's awful, and I hate every issue that I read of it. And I don't know why I actually kept reading it. I guess because I kept hoping that it would pay off somehow, and it never did. And it just kept getting worse. Anyway. It literally seems like they ripped off kind of the Harley Quinn idea with this doctor that that he's screwing, essentially. Someone who was his psychiatrist in prison and is now ready to become part of his new Dark Avengers. So it was like, really? Did Bendis really run out of... did he just run out of ideas this week, or what? At least on this comic, anyway. And Deodato, he just rocks. The panel with the new Spider-Man with the black costume, but he's got the 6 arms and the 2 legs. Basically, a very on-the-nose homage to issue 7 of Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, where Spidey gets the black suit. It's the same pose and everything, except for of course, the extra arms. I do really like how each of the groups describes their reasons for wanting to be part of this new Hammer. That AIM and the Hand and Hydra, they all have their very specific reasons for wanting to be part of this. Because everything they kind of do kind of blows up in their face when they're alone, but but together, it's the whole kind of, it's, the combine and conquer rather than divide and conquer. So this was about, a 3.5 out of 5, I thought. It was strong, and, the biggest, part for me were those descriptive scenes about the different branches of Hammer, and of course, Deodato's art. It's just fantastic. So, anyway, moving on. I'm kind of trying to blow through these because I know this can get tiresome sometimes. We have Buffy, season 9, number 3, third part of Free Fall. This is one of Joan Chen's, I'm sorry, no, this is Steve Morris doing this cover. I'm sorry, I don't even know who that is. But I thought it was Joan Chen at first because it was very, it's very character specific. you know, so just when you thought that things are going one way, again, this is very classic Whedon, even though Whedon is not writing it and Andrew Chambliss is. But, Whedon is there. He's the overseeing eye, as he always was on the show. I mean, even the worst episodes have some quality Whedon moments. And I love how this comic book, throughout Season 8 and even into Season 9, that it has the distinct flavor of a comic book, but it still has the feel of the television show. So, I mean, that to me is a huge bonus because, we still have a lot of things, a lot of great characters and a lot of things to work on. I love, Xander and Dawn as a couple. I mean, those of you who might have heard me say this before, as far as the Buffyverse is concerned, Xander Harris is my favorite character, always will be, at least as far as the Buffyverse. The Angelverse has a different favorite character, and that's Wesley Wyndham-Pryce. And I'm bummed that he's not in Angel and Faith, but, he was in the TV show, and he was in Angel After the Fall as a ghost. And I didn't really care for that. But anyway, moving along. But as far as couples are concerned, and somebody help me out here, what happened to Kennedy? Did something happen to her? Did they break up because Willow was having the kind of thing with the mermaid, the spirit thing? I don't know. Because I do care. I like Kennedy. I thought she was a good, she was a good character, and I thought that Willow and Kennedy were good together. But anyway, the one thing that that Buffy, the program has always been about, action and consequence. So, I mean, there's never anything that's like, okay, well, this, we're just doing this, and there's going to be nothing that comes after it. There are a couple of one-off episodes, but almost every action has an equal and opposite reaction in the story. As far as the timeline is concerned, and that is very much kept to. I mean, this pretty much what this arc is about the loss of magic and Buffy not really dealing with it. And that was a little bit disappointing, is that I feel like, Buffy, she's at a point where she should stop running away from things. Or where she would, because she's now on the run from the cops and everything like that, and still kind of trying to avoid, having destroyed the seed and, causing all of the magical things to, not have access to that magic anymore. But she still seems to kind of be running away. I'd hoped we got past that, but apparently not. So this, again, it's a 4 out of 5, but it's just could have been better. And also, George Gianti's art seems a little off in this issue. Just seems a little rushed. But I know from my friend who's currently illustrating my comic how hard it is to actually illustrate a comic, so it's not really something I can fault. But I mean, when you are a professional, as opposed to my friend who is, very much semi-professional, he doesn't have deadlines and things like that. But whatever, I'm just saying. Okay, so we've got also Batman and Robin number 3. Again, I'm glad that I started to add this to my pull box, because this was one that really kind of, took me. It took me a while to get, into. But we've got, part of what I have loved about this comic, and what I really loved about the previous issue, is that we've got this, we've got, no matter how disciplined Damian may be, coming from, as far as being a trained killer, essentially, that he's still, but now he is Robin, so he has to curb those impulses. But he's still a spoiled, elitist, and very deadly brat. That's conveyed pretty well in this issue. I would prefer if this issue would be a little bit less about the action and more about the character moments between Bruce and Damian. Having that father-son dynamic is the thing that's ultimately driving me to read this book. If Tomasi would give us more moments like that were in the last issue, because in order for this comic to really differentiate itself from the rest of the titles in the Bat family, I think that it needs to have more of that father-son, more of those beats. It really needs to have that, and there are some here, and of course, the moment where basically, Damian does sort of kill that one guy, basically, makes him brain dead, and then Morgan, this mystery man, working, who used to work for Descartes, kills that same guy, and then of course, they're put in the same, in another kind of easily escapable yet overly elaborate death trap, as Dr. Evil would say. Mm-hmm. Okay, so where are we going from here? Sorry, I've got did my notes here. Okay, Battle Scars, number 1 of 6. So this was a book that I was honestly not really terribly curious about, and then I picked it up and I read it, and I'm like, wow. This has gotten me, already I'm way more interested in this comic than I am in anything going on in the Fearless. This has got my firm, strict attention. This is just, I think this book is really, really strong. It's got terrific art. Who does the art on this, by the way? Sorry, just... Scott Eaton. Sorry, I kind of knew that. It's Chris Yost, Cullen Bunn, and Matt Fraction came up with the story, but Chris Yost is writing it. Yost, as I'm a big fan of his writing, and I have a feeling that the events in this, in Battle Scars, are going to set a bigger stage than what you might expect from a character, from a book whose central character we don't know anything about. Who is Marcus Johnson, and that's going to be the mystery that propels this particular title. And I'm really excited to learn as much as I can about this new character and why exactly all these people like Taskmaster are after him and so on and so forth. Why people are why everybody seems to be trying to kill him, and the hero stepped up to protect him. It's I'm really enjoying the premise of this book, and I'm just hopeful that the mystery itself does have a big payoff when it all is finally said and done, so that it won't feel like I've just been wasting my time. But yeah, this is, again, an easy 4 out of 5, closer to a 4.5. But yeah, I was really very pleased with it. So stay tuned. We've got some more to go through. And again, I'm going to try and, get through these as quickly as possible. So stay tuned. We'll be back with part 3.